Hello. What up, Internet? That's right. You missed everything already. Aren't you getting tired of that conversation at 11 o'clock? Started out as a choppy mess today, but managed to squeak something out of it. I was looking to short the Qs this morning because of the power gap yesterday that went nowhere. Caught a decent short. We had the Fat Finger Freddy trade first. That was my first short. There's the Fat Finger Freddy. And good morning. If you're just joining us, my name's Kenny Glick. I am the greatest trader on the internet. There is no second place. And I've exposed that the market is rigged. Did you just chuckle to yourself? Stop chuckling. The market's rigged. It's pre-programmed. And what we do for a living is we exploit the algorithmic pre-programmed nature that is the stock market that we trade in. And every once in a while, the market, not only does it expose its rigging, it tells you exactly where it's going. And we call it Fat Finger Freddy. Somebody hit the wrong button and exposed where it's going to go. And between 7:55 and 8:05 each morning, we wait and we see if it exposes itself. And there it was at 8:01. So the Qs were up at 7:45.46 at the time, and it prints 7:43 and 44 cents. And what I used to think was, it's just a late print. No. Hang on. My wife apparently has hired. We're going to have a lot of work being done on my house, apparently. Great. So hopefully it don't start making all that noise again outside. So let me get through this conversation. So what we do and what I've been doing my whole life has been trading algorithmically by kind of default because that's the nature. That was the style that I traded. So the way that we trade now really makes a lot of sense to me in a market that sometimes or quite often doesn't make any sense. Irrational exuberance, you know the idea. Bullshit stocks making the bid. You know the story. The market's insane. This is how to stay sane. You understand that it's programmed, and you trade the programs, and you do things where you have risk reward, meaning you're expecting to make more money than you're putting up it to risk. Risk reward in your favor. And then you know the market's rigged, so you trade the rigging. And what is the rigging? Well, the kids are calling it institutional order flow. My name is Kenny Glick. In 2020, I was working for a company that was trying to market what I do. And I trade VWAP, gap reversion earnings, news-driven gaps reversion VWAP trading. It's a mouthful. It's not sexy when you say it like that. So they wanted me to say something sexy. Could you make it sound sexier or fun? Like, can we call it the money line? I'm like, no, please don't. That is not sexy or fun. That's annoying and awful. And I was like, why don't we just call it institutional order flow? Ooh, that's sexy. And then we started calling it institutional order flow for this promotion that I did. It was VWAP, but they wanted to call it something else just to make it cool for this promotional video that we were doing. And now, fast forward to 2026, I believe that's the year we're in. The internet has taken my phrase and now it's a thing. And other companies are talking about institutional order flow and institutional order flow indicators, institutional order flow scanners. And by the way, we have one of those from Trade Pulse. It's institutional order flow indicator from Trade Pulse. I don't know if anybody's still using that. My buddy left the company, so we don't really talk to them anymore. But institutional order flow is VWAP. So it's just easier just saying, let's follow VWAP. And what we do for a living is we follow VWAP from today and multiple time frames. And that has a different name. I call it multi-VWAP, multi-day VWAP. My hero, Brian Shannon, he anchors it to certain days. What I've been doing since 2012 is experimenting with which one of these anchors, so to speak, works the best. And what I found is prior day on gaps. And that's why earnings reversion, earnings is when you have the biggest gaps, news is when you have the biggest gaps. And then you see the ebb and flow, the reversion, meaning going back to, and then it just becomes math. And they just go your ebb and flow. So it's chart pattern recognition / market mechanics meets the algorithmic nature of the market, which is VWAP. So now what we trade is that. So as I've been staring at these screens my whole life, literally, I've started to notice things, and that's how you become a good trader, right? Through experience. And what I'm experiencing lately is what I thought were these anomaly prints. Now it started at 20% of the time they'd go there. Then it was 40%. Then it was 50%. Now we're starting to see it happen 60% of the time, which even at 10%, I was convinced that it was something. Now I'm 100% convinced that because the market's pre-programmed and so algorithmic in nature, that it slips. It tells you where it's going to go. And it tells you where the price of that next sell program or buy program will bring the market. And in this case, market's going sideways, everything's still bullish. Next thing you know, you see this print. Oh, I'm going to take that under advisement. Oh, look, we're starting to sell off. Why don't I short it right now, using the highs of the day as my out? And then it breaks VWAP. Now I'm 100% convinced. So again, I got convinced right away. I'm shorting 175.50. But what I love is just waiting for the VWAP to convince me even more so, because now you know that when something breaks VWAP from on top, generally you do get follow through to prior day VWAP. Fat finger guy is right in the middle. Got to put that trade on. So at 75.50 or 74.50, what am I risking? I'm risking less than $1 on a $748 stock. You follow my logic right there? I'm shorting here at 45.50. I'm not going to say 745.50. You guys know what I'm saying, right? 45.50. And I know if I'm wrong, I'm going to have to cover it if it breaks pre-market high. So that's my risk. My reward is the orange line at the time. So, all right, cool. I could short 300 shares, risking less than $1. So it's about 230 bucks. Because if I'm wrong, I'm covering the whole thing. One of those times where you have to get out of your entire position at one price because you only have one price to contend with. That's the pre-market highs. And one of my rules is never stay short anything breaking pre-market highs, ever. So there it is. You define the trade. You got fat finger telling you where you're going to go. Multi-days where your ultimate goal is. And that's right in the middle. And then she goes there. And what do you do there? You cover. You got 300 shares. Why not cover 150? And then your next target is orange line. And then you cover another 100. Now you got 50 shares left. It starts to rally against you. And you're like, all right, I'm not going to freak out unless it goes back to where I covered before. And then it starts to roll over. Next thing you know, it's 927. Do you want to be short into the open? I don't. I get out. And then the market went down. And I was like, maybe I should have held. Oh, and then 2 minutes later, I was like, oh, good thing I didn't. And then it's set up again. And I shorted right there. And it immediately went against me. I had to cover some. And then here I was like, oh, good thing I didn't get out of my entire position at one price. But then it ripped right back in my face. And I covered right there. And I said, well, that sucked. Then I lost. And then it starts to roll over. And I got a little like, oh, let me try it one more time. And then it went against me. I immediately took the loss. And I lost again. And then it rolls over without me. And I'm sitting there stewing about it. Man, am I going to get short again? There's the finger of God, like I talk about. Tries to rally and it rolls. Breaks the VWAP, multi-day VWAP. And what did I do about it? Nothing. I sat here complaining. But then it broke down here. And I was like, shit, I might have to get back involved. And I didn't. And then it starts to roll without me. And now I'm pissed because I just lost on it over here. I'm not involved in a 1 minute multi-day VWAP break. Me, I invented this trade. How am I not involved? And then that happened. Hell yeah. It reverted back to, now we're not talking about VWAP anymore. Now we're talking about price action. This red line is where it broke down from. It tested from underneath, and almost as if it's a VWAP, it failed. There's the candle that I finally said, all right, you dummy, get involved. 740. Because now I could adjust my risk. I'm getting involved here. 740. I'm looking at that 82 cents, the same 82 cents that I was willing to risk way back here. Now I know if I'm wrong, and I was planning on being wrong because shorting this market's very difficult. I was planning on being wrong, but at least I was like, all right, I'm only risking the 82. Let me give it a shot. And then we went back to old school market mechanics, and I looked for 3, 7, 30, 7, 50. Bang, boof, bang, boom. 3, 30, 7, 50. Why? Because that's how the market works. 740, get you 337.50. Covered, wonderful bounce. I haven't done a trade since. Now, if you guys are watching SpaceX, same kind of scenario. You're not going to believe this story, but I'll tell it to you anyway. And if you guys were along with us last night, you're loving life, right? 150 got us 180, 180 got us 200, 200 got us 220, almost got to 250 last night. I sold into this. I only had 57 shares left. I sold 52 shares. I got 5 shares left. It's insignificant, but I still want to see it in my account. I just got 5 shares left, regardless of what I'm doing. I walked in this morning looking for vengeance. I wanted to short some SpaceX because I was pissed that I didn't get ultra aggressive at 180 on that break. So I'm just looking for that confirmation. I see Fat Finger showing up here at 4 o'clock. I see Fat Finger Freddy over here again. That's what got me excited, but didn't get there this time. Almost got there. But what got me excited was I came in looking for a short. And right here is where I got involved. Where, just like that other trader just showed you, where it couldn't hang above where it broke down from. So I got involved on that short right there around 207. Didn't get greedy. Got 205 out of it. Got 202.50. Done. Missed on all this. Missed all that. And then comes the open. And I explained to everybody, if you're still short right now, don't be, because you just can't tell what's going to happen at the open. And look at this monster move. And then finally, there's a few short opportunities, but right now we're just chilling because this day it's kind of choppy, and it should be. And when the market's doing what it should be, and that is chop, you kind of want to stay out of it, right? You're getting, if you get paid quickly today, like we did, you're just coasting now. If something comes around and sets up, yeah. But the reason the market's choppy is that we just had a power gap yesterday. Some rational thought came into play. We actually had some profit taking finally down to 3. Again, that's where I was hoping for 337.50. But we're still in a massive power gap. We're still in a massive bull market. People want in, but we're fighting people that are taking profits. It's short-term money versus long-term money right now, and that's what's given us this chop. It's still massively bullish. So shorting is still a short-lived trade, and you're going to die. But now the market's giving a few opportunities to take advantage of some selling, but not a lot. So what do? Nothing. Yesterday, we got paid on a couple of shorts, and I specifically said today's the day where you might as well just leave, because a power gap on a Monday we generally go sideways and then close. And that's kind of what we did. Now, we're little profit taking from the power gap today. We got paid. Now we're chilling. So if anybody has any questions, I'm open for Q&A. Go. Wait, before you go, let me get a cup of coffee. I do like a couple of names out there. One just rolled by. If you guys know about this IPO, XE, it got absolutely smoked. The earnings came out. There was nobody buying this. But that's when I love stocks, because it pivoted and you got a faux show, bro, on the entire move now. So 1750 held, 1750 gets you 20, 20 gets you 2250. I love this stock. I don't know why. I love it. I've had some good trades on it. It's becoming one of my favorite go-to names. So when you have a go-to name, what do? Go to it. See what it's doing. Hey, let me go check on my pal XC. Oh, whoa, shit. I just missed a faux show, bro. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. Do you stop watching it? No, you go check on it. And then look what happens. It comes back and creates that pattern, because these chart patterns are replicable and they repeat many times during the day. And when they repeat around the VWAP, that gives you a new setup with new risk parameters and usually less risk in the middle of the day, because here's the fake out, shake out. There's the VWAP. There's the hold of the fake out area. There's the VWAP break. Now you're buying 21.95, and you could do it with 10 cents of risk on your first lot and only 20 cents of risk on your second lot. And if you wanted to let it breathe to the multi-day, only collectively 40 cents of risk. Do it, and you get paid $1. So when there's not much going on, you should all have go-to names. My go-to names are XE. Obviously, Clove lately has been freaking awesome. Again, you don't need a stock going up 1,000% to make a day's pay on it. You risk 3 cents to make 30 cents on Clove. That's great trading. You could buy yourself 2,000 shares on a 3 cent risk. That means $60 a risk. The stock goes up 30 cents. That's $600 on a $60 risk. That's great trading. Who doesn't love Oracle? Look at that move. You missed it on the upside, then you got a chance to short it all the way back to the bottom, and then a faux show, bro, reversion back to the VWAP. So when there's no earnings and there's nothing in the news and you don't have an IPO and the Qs are just chopping around, everybody should have a go-to list. I could create one for you, but it's generally the top 3 stocks in space, rockets, robots, quantum, AI, and chips. Everybody should have a few. And then we add and we subtract when stocks start to suck. And what do they mean when I say they suck? The volume dries up. Or you just forget about them, like UMAC. We traded UMAC for 2 weeks straight every single day. I kind of went away from it. But if I would have checked it today, look at that. Blow off top, rollover, VWAP break, decent short into a faux show, bro, into a decent long. Once you understand the market mechanics and ebbs and flows and price action, you see how I'm just giving you random symbols now, just looking down my old list, and every one of these is a decent trade. All right, let me get up and get a cup of coffee. We'll do some Q&A for the next 40 minutes. My email address is kennyglick@aol.com. And if you want to name your kid after me, my mom named me Kenneth, but if anybody calls me Kenneth, you get a punch in the nose. I'll be right back. So yeah, I walked away for a second. What just happened? What happened? Well, the Q's at the lows of the day. Wait, what the hell just happened? All right, we're back. So yeah. Wow, the Q's are at the lows of the day. See that? That's called the ass trigger. It still works all these years later. Oh, bro. All right, let me just get the chat room up and running. Here we go. All right. And the Q's are at the lows of the day. And look, some of us are holding on to the idea that we can get back to that 731 area because that is your 2-day VWAP. I mean, it seems doable. I think tomorrow we'll get a little bit more chance of pulling back more, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to make it down there today, but wouldn't be too surprising. You're still in the downtrend. The only thing is UVXY is still red, so I don't really consider any of this real selling. So if you have any questions, this would be a great time. I don't plan to put on any more trades. I'm happy I got away with shorting the Qs 4 out of 5, well, 3.5 out of 5 times for wins. Narrowly escaped a SpaceX short this morning, and pretty much everything I've done. And I'm kind of really in the. Is that a real stock? I hope it is. That'd be a funny symbol. Actually, I've never tried that. But the Qs, yeah, you are seeing some. Yeah, again, this is a very rational day. I love it because it gives me the hope that rational thought will play out again in the markets. There's no stock called Fart, is there? That'd be great if there was. He's just being silly, that guy. My platform has ones, tens, 1 minute, 2 minute, 10 minute, 10 blah 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 blah, right, and daily and weekly period. I am confusing myself. Oh man, hold on a second. Is it important? Hold on a second. No, I just needed a new hose or something. You needed, yeah. I just wanted to know if I could. You could use all the extra hoses in the back. Well, then call him. Yeah, but they're putting the things where they're going to put the things. Yeah. Okie dokie, bye. Yeah, why don't you saunter your ass over here then? Yeah, all right, take care, Toots. Later. All right, bye. By the way, that's how I talk to my wife, Toots. She loves that. So, newbie question, I love it. Wait, hang on a second. And if you are still short the Qs, you're my freaking hero right now. You seriously are. That's some professional discipline right there. Fantastic. If UVXY goes green, that'll help your cause. But and by the way, have I mentioned this yet? I hate Rambus. So here's a good question. So platform has 1 second, 10 second, minute, 10 minute, and daily position, and daily and weekly period. I'm confusing myself, switching between time frames and coming up with different opinions at each time frame. Yes. 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 day is the go-to setting, right? So what you're looking at on my chart is 1 minute charts, 1 minute candlesticks. The blue line is the 1 minute VWAP of the day. That's your resetting daily. And then my orange line On this chart, it's grabbing 2 days, but here's my default 1 minute multi-day. Because what I've noticed over the last decade of using this, if you get through today's VWAP and you get through the prior day VWAP, more often than not, you will start a trend in that direction, hence this move that we're in right now. But yeah, you do not want to look at 1 second charts. What does that even mean? Is that a tick chart? 1 second. Is there a second chart? I didn't even know there was a second chart. But yeah, 1 minute that's sometimes that's too much. For a while, I was experimenting with 5-minute charts. It keeps you in the trade a little bit longer, but I found that I was, I just found myself liking the 1 minute, giving me more choices of where to place stops. But 5-minute, I don't mind. Yeah, so here's your 5-minute chart. So instead of using the 1 minute, you'd be using the 5-minute high. So that would be a stop right there. And you see how it's lining up already? So one of my stops would be that there's a 337.50. There it is on the 5-minute chart also. But 1 second charts, that's crazy. Is there a 1 second chart? I think you meant to say 1 minute. Yeah. By the way, Lee, what was the email you sent me? Your cousin is the Kintner boy? The Kintner boy that got spilled out on the dock? Can you get me his autograph? Because I have a picture of the Kintner boy getting annihilated on the raft. It's this craziest poster. I have it somewhere. I could send it to you. Maybe I could get him to sign it. We're not going to have a half-ass autopsy and have the Kintner boy spill out all over the dock. Let's be reasonable, Martin. I think I've seen Jaws 10,000 times. When she slaps Chief Brody in the face, it hurts every single time. And I still get scared when Ben Gardner's head pops out of that boat. Do they still live in Martha's Vineyard? The Kintner boy still lives in Martha's Vineyard? Stop it. That's amazing. 80% of the cast were people that lived on the island. Wow, that's awesome. I gotta tell my wife that story. That's crazy. $1 second and 10-cent candles, man. I can't imagine you not getting chopped up trying to trade 1 cent. 1 second, 10-second candles. That's wow. But I tell you, I'm still not convinced the market's even going to stay down today. This is just a nice, rational. This is exactly. This was the 7 or 8 points. I thought for sure you'd go down today because power gaps tend to get sold off into, and then you're going to close the nearest gap, which could happen. The nearest gap is the high of the prior candle when you're in it. So now you're in this candle. So you're looking for the low of that candle, which is 732.82. And the top of this candle is 731.69. Old school trading. This is the way me and Solid discovered VWAP by accident. We would just take the bottom of this candle, the top of that candle, divide by 2, and put a line there, and that would be our target. And then when our hero, Zach Hurwitz, who was a disciple of Brian Shannon, watched the way that we were setting up our trades, he said, you guys are trading VWAP? And we responded, who gives a shit about VWAP? And my new life was born that day when Zach said, apparently you do. That's why when I have these chart patterns, when they meet VWAP, and I've already done all this work, I call it the Zach Hurwitz moment. And that's why this price action trading is my favorite, because I've been doing it my whole life, and now it's being validated by the algorithmic nature of the VWAP and all that. And here we are. How do you get multi-day on the TOS? We built it. When you join my website, I give it to you. And we used to sell the code by itself. Now, and we built this thing before there was something called Think Scripts. Now you could go on Thinkorswim and buy it. I think somebody, obviously everybody's reverse engineered it by now. We reverse engineered it when we first got it. I just figured out a better way to use it. The code is basically a data grab of prior days. It's no real secret. It's how I use it, which is the best way to use it. Some people don't use it correctly. So the regular VWAP's buried in here on the studies. So if you go to Thinkorswim and you go to studies, and then go to quick study, all studies, and then you got to go to the V's, and she's hiding out right in the V section right there. That'll give you the blue line and the deviation bands. And then join the website, and then 2 weeks later, I'll give you the orange line, and you'll be set for life. Right. VIX is red, somebody's pointing out. Exactly. So I can't really think that this sell-off is going to hold all day. UVXY, not even green. I mean, it's telling you something. It's telling you that this is just a profit-taking event, enough to make money on a short, but it's not that significant. And that's why Friday at the close, UVXY was crashing. You had to think you probably don't want to stay short the market over the weekend. And next thing you know, you got a power gap. Market was going to gap up big on Monday anyway. It's not because of this fake bullshit. You can't trust any news story that you read, so why put any credence, or can't give any of the stuff credibility? Nothing has credibility. I don't even think there's even a deal. Plus, I don't want to get into the whole thing again, but it's not going the way I wanted it to go. I was hoping for full surrender. I kind of like the tone of that annihilation of the entire civilization. I was feeling that night. I almost wore a Trump hat that night. That's all I'll talk about. I'm done with that rant. That was yesterday. I'm back to not caring. But that's what I like about what we do. Somebody asked me about a news service. I'm like, news? News? I don't even put the TV on anymore. I don't watch CNBC. I don't give a shit about anybody's opinion. I don't care what anybody thinks. Right? I trade what the stock tells me to do. And I say this I give this example every time. Even if Warren Buffett told me there was going to be a takeover on a stock tomorrow, I'd still wait for a VWAP break. Thanks for the heads up, Warren. I'll take it under advisement. When it sets up, I'll get in. By the way, have I mentioned I hate Rambus? Fucking piece of shit. I mean, that stock yesterday, it was a good short. And this is one of those examples where it's like, this is why I hate owning stocks. I hate it. I hate owning stocks. I do. Right? Because now I got to think, there's a blow off top again. This thing's about to roll over and die. But I want to own it. I think it's going to 250 inevitably. I hate it. It's giving me 8 reasons to sell, especially yesterday. What yesterday's action showed me was there's a seller lurking up there. It was the first stock to go negative out of 7,000 stocks that I watch. It happened to be the one that I own was the first one to go negative. And then today, rejected at the prior day VWAP, rolls over, breaks VWAP. And now we've given back that entire whole freaking move. Owning stock sucks. I don't need it. I don't want it. And here's the Nokia, by the way. Here's my whole portfolio. Nokia, right? Shorted it yesterday. Because normally when I sell stocks out of my portfolio, they go right back up. Now something's different. I'm not panicking on Nokia. I don't want to see it break in 1250. And I certainly don't want to see it break in there. Because if it breaks down under that 1209, you got a gap fill to 1112, 1110. And then you're looking at that yearly VWAP retrace. Ugh. We might have to sit through that. But I still think the stock's inevitably going to $24. And again, when you're dealing with investments versus swing trading versus day trading, you got to separate yourself right now. You know, the semis are selling off. Yeah, Light Path, they're all the same stock to me. And then I bought CBRG. I was up 50% on this trade. I didn't sell it because I'm thinking, all right, here we go. And next thing you know, here we don't go. If you know CBRG, that's Cerebras, the leverage version. I bought it at 6 and change. It went to 8 and change a day later. I didn't sell it. That's the one thing I like most. Even when you're frustrated and annoyed about day trading, at least I'm in control. I can do what I want. The market's open. I could buy anything. I could sell anything whenever I want it. I don't got to be worried about overnights, what the company has to say, CEOs, macro events, war, presidents. None of it matters. Intraday, you're trading just market mechanics, the ebb and flow of the algos, and you're in control. Not completely in control, but as much as you could be in the world of financial trading. Financial. It's financial. And if you don't know, SpaceX has options today. Somebody's putting on this trick. Somebody put on a 300, 380 call spread for Friday. Ridiculous. I'm rooting for him. I hope it works for him, but probably won't. 300s were going for 75. The 380s for 15 cents. So it's a 60-cent risk to make 80 points. Sounds good on paper. It ain't going to work. But you can see the volume. The 210s, which are at the money. Let's see if they still have a 10-point premium. Yep. So the 210s, they're talking about 12.5-point premium. 3 days to go. It's pretty hefty. But what I like doing is I like watching these options. I go out a couple of months. That's a couple of years, sorry. A couple of months. And I look at the high strike prices. I see what's going on over there. The market makers are putting out 380s. They don't do that. They don't do that randomly. They put these prices out because mathematically they believe there's a chance for it going there. Plus, the last contract, you'll notice when you go to the last contract of the chains, they're more active than they should be because people look at these as the lotto plays, and then you got guys like me who sell people their lotto. And they'll go out and they'll sell the long-term ones. You'll notice that no matter how far away it is, there's always volume on the last contract. See? That's a 380 call that's charging $75 for it. So think about what that person's doing who bought it. They're betting by Christmas, December 2028. So it's quite some time that this stock's going to be not just 380, 450, because you got to compensate for the $72 that you paid for the 380. The seller says, "What? I'll sell you a contract for $75." And they sell one contract at $7,500. SpaceX sits around for the next 2 years between 180 and 250. These expire worthless. He keeps the 7,500. So within the next couple of days, I'd like to go back and I check to see if these are still so expensive. They start disintegrating quickly. Sometimes I will sell a naked call on these fresh IPOs because they overprice these leaps. And plus, you've got plenty of time to get out in case the stock actually does start ripping. So for instance, let's say you did, again, I'm not suggesting anybody does this unless you're comfortable doing this type of shit. Let's say, there you go. That's me on the offer night right now. Let's see if anybody sells it to me. Right? So all right. Oh, there you go. Somebody just got done at 73.75. So that's one contract, right? So now the idea is that you just sold one contract for $73 at $7,375. Now what? Now you're hoping it doesn't go to 380 anytime soon, right? So here's what you do. And this is what I would be doing. If SpaceX breaks yesterday's overnight high, get the hell out of that contract, because this stock literally goes to 250, and stocks that go to 250 tend to go a lot higher, like ridiculous. 250 is a magic number in the world of trading. But right now, none of that matters because you are short the Qs and you're crushing. And now you are starting to see why we love ourselves multi-day VWAPs, right? It might not get there, but when you see it there, you factor in that it could get there because it's there and you are in the gap. So now let me show you what I just was showing you about 5 minutes ago. Once you power gap and there's no multi-day VWAPs to give you reasons of where you can go, you go back to prior low candles and prior high candles. Look what you just did. 7, 32, 62. Where'd you just go on the Qs? 7, 32, 72. Sorry, 10 cents off. Bottom of that candle is where you're going. You break that. Now you're in this candle, which is also in that candle. So you look to get to the top of that candle, which is 7, 31, 69. And then go back to that 1 minute, 2 day. Ain't so far-fetched to go down another 2 points from here. And if you are still short the Qs, like I said, you have the discipline that you need. And there you go, 732.62, cover. Now you have to cover some right here when it gets to those prices. You don't take it all off the table, but now you just got paid an extra 5 points on this trade for just being patient. 732.62, cover. Now you put your stop at where the last breakdown was, which is the bottom of that candle, 735.55. And now you say, holy shit, Kenny, I cannot believe we're going to go to that 2-day VWAP. Believe it. But also remind yourself that shorting is short-lived and you're going to die. And that's what stops are for. You give yourself the 2-point room. Look, it tried to get over it. There's that price. That's a significant moment. That's where you're going to cover when it rips against you. Not if, when, because it happens all the time. But right now, since the 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal from here, look how nice this trade is developed. And usually you get down to the 2-day. But the reason I didn't think you'd get there because of the power gap, I didn't think you'd get there. So you go back and look at other levels that are meaningful. And that's when you just go back looking at where they came from, right? Prior highs, pre-market lows. You just try to find these levels. How you like me now, right? Didn't think you were going to get there, but there you are. There's another fat finger from 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't think this one would play out, but it just did. And look at that level. That's the fat finger from 4 o'clock this morning, 7, 33, 60. Did you get there? Did you get there? Oh, you did. Right? Pre-programmed. Believe it. Yeah, noise. You a Beastie Boys fan? Noise. Zip, 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 zip. Yeah, what happened today, man? This is the least music I've played. Taking it serious today. By the way, you see how it bounced off 732.50? You think it's a coincidence? Half numbers and whole numbers, friends. 735 gets you 732.50 on your way to the bigger algorithmic numbers. You feel me? You hear what I'm saying? This song, man, it's what, 1986? Still freaking rips. Plus, it's that great hook, man. So yeah, there you go. 732.50. Could that be it for the moment? Yeah, could be. Yeah, could be. Sorry, I missed the saw those fuel cell. Yeah, you know what? They had a really nice move today. Where'd that come from? You're getting to the point where you might. All right, listen. My wife's texting me about gardening shit now, so I'm gonna have to cut. I'm gonna have to go because I'm gonna get divorced. So, and I want to get divorced. My wife's gonna be home. I don't need you doing gangster shit in my garage. I don't want to get divorced. I'm gonna get divorced. So you guys do your thing, and then get the fuck out of here. If you don't know that movie, go watch some movies. What do I think about Home Depot right now? Johnny Burns. Today or over the course of its life? It faux show broed after the earnings report. I freaking love Home Depot. People were giving up on this bad boy. It faux show broed on earnings day. It's been a monster ever since. If you're swinging it, 320, 322 is your danger zone. I like it. I can't tell what's on the sign, but Marvin didn't like it. Was there a sign outside my house? Damn, Jimmy. This is some good coffee. I'm not here to talk about how good my coffee is. I'm the one who buys it. Oh, bro, man. Schizophrenic, man. Schizophrenic. Right? I go from like the happiest guy to freaking angry psycho in like split second. But I'm going to keep it right here. Nice and even keel today. And that was a wonderful cover at 732.50. And you should conclude your day with that. That was awesome. 732.50, right back to the 735. You just saw algorithms working right there, right in front of you. All right, go put some music on. I got to go contend with the gardener before my wife gets home and starts snapping the whip. And nobody wants to see me like getting beat by my wife. All right. Have a great rest of the day. Put some Beastie Boys on or something, or go do something that your wife needs, because you know how that happens. See ya. Have a great day, everybody.